We have become a nation of children, John Taylor Gatto. In his article Against School, he talked about how he believes American schools are extremely flawed and teach their students to never grow up and think for themselves. In this video, I wanted to find out if Gatto's Against School still holds up today with the student experiences in American schools. Do students today agree with Gatto's Against School and the views he presents, or are Gatto's views highly outdated? Boredom was everywhere in my world, and if you asked the kids as often as I did why they felt so bored, they always gave the same answers. Were your teachers or classroom experiences as boring as Gatto describes?
I definitely had some experiences where the classes I've taken have been I've just been completely bored out of my mind.
Not really. I feel like college is more fun.
But before college?
Before college, it was kind of boring. Because you didn't get to go out and have like experiences like you do now.
Yes. Let me see. Especially like even now, like in college, you have these old ass teachers lecturing for 2 hours. Like, bro, I'm gonna fall asleep in your class. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe like teachers should just bring sort of an excitement to your class, because
even when I went through high school, I realized that a lot of the time, if I even tried to put interest into it, but I just was not motivated to do it, it was just because, the whole course was just boring. I mean, I had a French class one time where the teacher was, stereotypically old as dirt. I mean, this guy would show up, he would have no lesson plans, he'd just come up with it on the fly, and most of the time it was like, okay, let's have a quiz on whatever kind of French words that he could, come up with. And people realized that they weren't learning French at all. Even people that took it for 4 years and earned their CO by literacy could barely even speak it, let alone being able to speak it fluently, which is what the CO is supposed to do. So there's definitely many courses that are boring to many people, and it definitely affects motivation and the ability to learn in the K-12 system.
So in the classrooms, it was really boring because most of the teachers wouldn't really put that much emphasis in their work. Not to bash any teachers, but like there were some that didn't put effort. If you ask them questions and stuff like that, they wouldn't actually put in any effort to help you out or make lectures seem more enjoyable in a way. Now I've experienced like more professors are really giving their all in a way to like make us successful. I mean, from the experience that I've had. And for example, like in high school, most teachers were really monotone, like their voice, and it felt like they didn't really want to be there. So it kind of made me not want to be there and just kind of like space out a bit more. While now I'm actually like focused into my classes.
I'm already in a class right now, and this dude just keeps talking and talking and talking. And it's like, I understand you want to give us the material and like give us some knowledge, and it's just like, dude, just chill out, just cut to the point, tell me what I need to learn, and I'll get to that. Like, don't lecture me, because then I'll fall asleep and then I'll fail your class. So I believe, yeah, some teachers are boring. I believe some students are boring too.
Gatto believes that American schools create workers, saying mandatory education serves children only incidentally. Its real purpose is to turn them into servants. Do you agree with what Gatto says?
I somewhat agree. Yeah, I definitely believe that the school system is kind of made to cover the general population, and because of that, there isn't really room for expertise when it comes to learning. So when you're trying to educate the general public, you can only do so much, and you can also factor in motivation, because most of those kids are being forced to be there by the law. So I definitely feel that the way that the system is made right now, it is, there to produce average workers.
I feel like in a way I kind of agree with that, because I feel like students nowadays feel a lot of pressure, and like most of them don't even like have an idea what they're actually gonna do with their life, like with careers and stuff like that. So they usually just go into like different jobs to try to gain experience, and most of those jobs are like minimum wage, so they're not really like benefiting from it.
I do definitely have experience with what it was like. I had a government/economics class in my senior year of high school that it was just so surprising how lazy and not well put together the class was. I mean, you'd show up and half the time the teacher wasn't even there, and when he was there, he would just put on music, and then he had assignments that were, you know, on the online classroom, and you could literally just walk up and tell him that, you know, you did it, and he'd give you like 100%. And it was probably the easiest A+ I got in my life, but I know little about government and I know nothing about economics, but I was just passed through. Same thing with like 30 other students that probably knew even less than I did, but they all got A's just because of how the system is.
I feel like schools don't really try to focus. They don't try to focus as much as like giving you real life experience. So for example, you know, they make you take these courses that aren't really going to benefit you in the future, and I feel like schools should really focus on providing classes that will benefit you. For example, classes like financial aid, where they help you like finance your bank statements, pay your taxes and stuff like that.
Gatto also goes on to say 6 classes a day, 5 days a week, 9 months a year, for 12 years. Do you think this routine is necessary for kids in school?
Yeah, I agree with that. The hell? You're a child, bro. Go to school. Get your education. I don't care how long it is, bro. You get breaks in between. There's some kids in like other countries who are just like going straight and doing their knowledge. I mean, doing their education and everything, and they barely get like breaks and all that. I mean, I'm not tripping about it. I agree with that. I believe kids should go every single day.
I definitely think some form of routine is pretty necessary. The reason why is that when you develop habits of getting used to this routine, it kind of sets up, you know, the whole mindset that you're ready to live your life in a routine, because a lot of people live their life very organized and very time scheduled. So it helps in that aspect. As far as doing the same thing at the same time every day, it can get very monotonous, and that it definitely contributes to the problem. But it has its pros and cons. I would say it is more on the better side for developing a routine, even though it can just completely bore students sometimes.
He also says, urge them to take on the serious material, the grown-up material, in history, literature, philosophy, music, art, economics, and theology. Do you think kids should begin to learn this at a young age?
I somewhat believe so, yeah.
I mean, I don't think any child wants to do that at a young age. I mean, imagine you know, being taught literature and philosophy, music, art, and economics. I'm just trying to play some games, simple. I mean, I wouldn't want to do all that.
I think that it should be taught at a young age. That way they kind of get more experience as they're growing up. They're able to like have a more open-minded kind of like personality.
It's funny you actually say that, because I'm doing a research paper on discipline in adolescence, and the thing I've come to realize is that it is important for children and teens at a young age to start developing aspects that adults use in their daily life. You know, self-discipline is a big factor, I see it as, and I do think it could serve much importance to these children if they were to take classes, you know, at this kind of level, and it would certainly prepare them for what they're about to experience when they get to, you know, college level material. So definitely, yes.
Unsurprisingly, students have and still go through the common problems of American schools Gatto talked about in his writing. Boredom still plagues classrooms, affecting the students in their studies. Schools still produce graduates on a conveyor belt, nowhere ready for the harsh world that awaits them. Sadly enough, Gatto's Against School was able to stand the test of time and can still be compared to our education system today. Hopefully in the coming years, we'll be able to see a major difference in our education system for the better. preparing students for the real world and modeling them into critical thinkers and problem solvers, not creating the next generation into mindless slaves, but truly giving them the mind of a student.